Hello everyone and welcome to another bullet journal migration, unexpected migration video because something unexpected happened to my current bullet journal. It is sad. It is true. My bullet journal was put through the washing machine. So that is unfortunate because it's totally unusable and mostly unsalvageable. You can see more of the carnage here. Question: what bear is best? Just kidding, I'm just rewatching The Office a lot lately. Which is worse though, this having happened to me or the time that I ripped the page out of the self-journal, just was looking at it and I was like, of course this doesn't matter. Sometimes you lose your bullet journal. Sometimes you put it in the washing machine accidentally. Sometimes your kid spills paint on it. Sometimes it gets left out in the rain. Sometimes any number of things can happen to where you're no longer able to use the bullet journal or the planner that you have been using. In that instance, what is the best way to do an emergency migration into your new bullet journal or planner? That's what we're going to cover today. Let's go ahead and get started. Need a better clap than that. So let's go ahead and get started. That's a good one. Let's go ahead and get started. There are some things that I can pull out of here just to make sure that I'm still keeping all of the necessary information, planning, brainstorming, and tasks from this unexpected migration from the Do Work Journal in Bear and Fig, or the Bear and Fig Do Work Journal, into the Full Focus Planner Pocket Size Edition. You can see the review I've done of both of these in the description below. There are a few different things that we need to get out of one and into the other. And I think about this whenever I do make a migration between bullet journals or between planners. And the main thing that I'm looking to do is take anything that I had in terms of a goal or a brainstorm or a planning perspective and make sure that's out of the old journal and into the new one. So if we come right in here, some of this is still, visible enough to make sure that I'm getting it. And so I came in here through the quarterly overview, and what I am doing here in Full Focus Planner is, instead of listing my, I have my quarterly overview goals here, I also had in the back, in the index, in the notes, poor thing, my August goals. Since it's still August, there's not a ton in here so far, thankfully. I was able to move all of this, again, just into not just the annual goal section here in the Full Focus Planner, but also breaking down those specific goal details. So in this case, and I've mentioned this a couple of times, but just a heads up, Bullet Journal Basics Setup course and live workshops. So that is a goal. I have all of my next steps, details, and key motivations in here. One of the things that's really important is to think about how you can make your productivity system and even your bullet journal system a little anti-fragile. And what do I mean by that? Well, Antifragile is a book written by Nassim Nicholas Taleb a few years ago. And the way that I have kind of taken that and thought about some of my productivity systems in those terms is, how do I create a system that if I'm no longer able to use the bullet journal that I have, if I put it through the washer, I lose it, how can it not be this disaster to my daily, weekly, monthly productivity? How can I set this up so that when I migrate, do this emergency migration into another bullet journal or planner, it doesn't take an entire day and I lose all kinds of information. How can I do that? So one of the ways that I do that, and you should check out the video, my complete analog to digital productivity workflow. You can watch it up here in the description below. But the way that I do this is to make sure that anything that needs to basically be backed up or needs to be expanded on or stored in a broad perspective usually goes into Notion. Once something goes from the planning and brainstorming stage on paper, it goes into Notion, into a specific project doc. Everything that I was doing in terms of the bullet journal basics workshops is also here in Notion. When I had everything go through the wash and I found it in there and I panicked slightly, that panic did not last very long because most of what is in here is brainstorming that has already been moved into Notion or might already exist in another backup notebook that I have, or is just something that I wrote down once and I don't necessarily really need to migrate everything over. So like say for example, this right here, this Podia audience building challenge. I'm fortunate that like everything in this has already kind of been taken care of and again was kind of moved into some public Podia docs. And then the other thing that I do, and this is also in the analog to digital video, so definitely check that out if you haven't seen it. The way that my workflow functions, I can give you a preview of this. I will plan on paper. That includes brainstorming, that includes basically anything. So plan on paper, that analog piece. And then once it becomes something that I need to collaborate on or something that I want to expand on, basically when it becomes a project that I want to have access to, then it goes on to Notion. And then the daily to-do goes back to paper. So when I review Notion or review what I want to do at the beginning of each week, and I'll probably do another video on this, is when I look through Notion and everything, then I move those things that I had in Notion, or kind of looking at it saying, okay, what do I need to do? All of those go in now, the full focus planner, to the bullet journal, to whatever I'm using to say like, okay, these are my daily big three, these are my tasks and notes, here are the three things that I definitely need to do at the end of the week I need to have accomplished. What are my daily big three? What are my other tasks, notes, things that come up, and how do I make everything work together? So because I have that workflow in Notion and sometimes with like a topical notebook like this one, when I lose one, it's still a huge bummer, but it's not this disastrous thing that you think like everything was in the bullet journal. Because I think something that you need to keep in mind when something like this happens to you, either you lose one or you put it through the wash, whatever it might be, is the more that you just kind of let that go and understand that, well, this is a bummer, but this is what happened. What I see, what has happened to me sometimes in the past when I've lost a notebook or a journal is I just kind of stop doing it for a little while. I get discouraged and I may not do it as much. Instead of just saying like, okay, well, that's too bad, that happened. Here's what I need to do to get started on whatever is coming up next. And I would give yourself like a certain amount of time, and you could go to like, you know, the notes, write everything down. I didn't need to do it in this instance. Not great, but I can still read what's here. I would just brainstorm everything that I can think of, you know, whatever key projects I might have or different things that I was tracking. Like say, here's where I started doing my streak tracker right here. So daily meditation, reading to the boys, exercising, just like I was doing over here. So I'm really just going through and finding those big things that I want to make sure that I'm continuing to track, goals that I was setting up. So here we go, habits and highlights. You'll see all of this in the August Plan With Me video that I did just last week. Yeah, you just kind of look at it and say like, well, this is unfortunate. What are the main parts of this from a notes perspective, from a project perspective, from a goal perspective that I need to move into my new bullet journal or my new planner so that I can have the big main things and continue to move forward and make progress with my work. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever had something like this happen to you, where you lost your bullet journal, or you put it through the wash, or you just weren't able to access it anymore? What did you do? What would you do if something like this happens? And how can you lessen the impact through creating a more anti-fragile productivity system that isn't reliant on just one tool or just one journal for you to get your work done and track what matters to you? I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas in the comments about what you would do in this situation, and we'll pick one comment to get a free bullet journal from Bear & Fig. I'll ship it off to you anywhere in the world. So thank you so much for watching. Next week we're going to have a brand new video about, I'm planning on the 100 rep rule and how that matters for the habits that you're creating, for the things that you're doing with your bullet journal, for really anything that you want to develop a proficiency and a mastery of in your life. So keep an eye out for that one. Thank you so much for making the bullet journal tips collaboration with Amy Landino the best opening week for a video that I've had since January. That means a ton to me. Thank you so much for your support, and I can't wait to show this next video to you. Talk to you soon. Bye.